How's it going, everyone? Bass here. It is officially that time. It is time to start my mock draft series for the Green Bay Packers in the 2022 offseason, and I'll be doing this exactly for the next 10 weeks every Thursday because 10 weeks out from today is the NFL draft. So for the next 10 weeks, every Thursday, I'll be putting out a Green Bay Packers 7-round mock draft. I'm sure I will learn a lot more about certain prospects as these 10 weeks go by, and obviously a lot will change from now to then. So let's get it started. Firstly, I quickly wanted to go over the draft needs I see as of right now for the Green Bay Packers. I made a video about this a couple weeks ago, so if you want to go check that out, I put the 5 biggest draft needs for the Packers. You can click the link above. And to summarize, basically, a lot of it does depend on Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams. Obviously, if Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams leave, your draft needs change dramatically. But for the top five I have right now, and I do think Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams will be back. So based on that, the top 5 draft needs I have right now, number 1, I have defensive line, very thin at defensive line. Tyler Lancaster is unrestricted free agent. Obviously, Kingsley Keke was cut. They really only have Kenny Clark, TJ Slayton, and Heflin. They do have Dean Lowry under contract, but he might be cut or restructured, so we'll see what happens there. Next up, I have tight end. Tunyon's a free agent and is coming off a torn ACL. They don't really have a true vertical guy. Mercedes Lewis said he's going to come back. Dominic Daphne and Dogor are more H-back type tight ends. And then as for a wide receiver, that's number 3. We could potentially lose MVS, and Alan Lazard's a restricted free agent as well. So if we do lose MVS, obviously we'll need to replace his deep threat ability. And then for number 4, I do have edge because the Packers could potentially lose both Za'Darius and Preston Smith, but I think they will at least lose one of them. So edge will definitely be a need in this draft. You can never have enough edge rushers, as I always say. And then finally, I have offensive tackle. The Packers don't have crazy tackle depth. And then Turner, of course, last year of his deal, and he's getting older. David Bakhtiari's getting older. Still didn't return from that ACL injury. Obviously, Elton Jenkins, who can play tackle, tore his ACL as well. Josh Nijman is a exclusive rights free agent, so he will most likely be back. But other than that, they definitely need some tackle depth. All right, so let's bring up the screen, and I am on thedraftnetwork.com. 7-round draft, normal speed, manual. And if we start this draft here, and I'm going to go ahead and pause it after the first 5 picks. We're obviously not going to trade into the top 5. But they do have Evan Neal going here first to the Jags. I think that's likely to happen. I think they're going to draft a tackle to protect Trevor Lawrence. Now, they could go Hutchinson from Michigan. Hamilton here to the Lions pick in number 2. I think Hamilton is the number 1 prospect in terms of like a skill position in this draft. So going here to the Lions, that's a good pick. And then Hutchinson, again, the best edge rusher out of the draft to the Texans is also a good pick. And Ekwonu to the Jets here. And if we continue, like I said, this is kind of like a base mock since it's number 1. So I'm really not going to try to trade. Like obviously some mock drafts will be like, okay, let's try to trade up into the top 15. But for this sake, we're kind of going to try to let it sit as it stands for at least for the first mock draft. And then for the next few picks, we have the Giants taking Thibodeau, which he keeps falling a little bit. He was a certified top 3 pick about a few weeks ago. Now he keeps falling around 5, 6, and 7. We've Cross and Penning, 2 tackles off the board for the Panthers and Giants. Jermaine Johnson, the next edge off the board to the Falcons. First quarterback off the board here at number 9, Malik Willis from Liberty to the Broncos. And then Derek Stingley Jr. from LSU to the Jets. So if we go ahead and continue this for the next 5 picks, and then I'll pause it. Here we go. We have Treylon Burks. Okay, wow. He is the first wide receiver off the board here. Jamison Williams is a guy who could potentially fall due to injury, but Treylon Burks, a very good receiver out of Arkansas. I love what I saw from him. A guy I don't think the Packers will be able to draft, but if somehow they could, would love him. Sauce Gardner here from Cincinnati to the Vikings. I would hate that. I think Gardner's a great cornerback. Matt Corral, the second quarterback to the Browns. Honestly, the Browns drafting a quarterback wouldn't be a crazy shock to me. Trevon Walker, edge to the Ravens, and Andrew Booth Jr. from Clemson to the Eagles. All right, so let's get the next 5 out of the way. Eagles obviously have back-to-back picks there, and they have 3 picks in from 15 to 20. The Eagles, if they nail on these 3 picks, they could be a pretty damn good team in the next years to come. They got David Ajabo, great edge out of Michigan, right playing opposite side of Hutchinson. Trent McDuffie, cornerback, goes to the Chargers. Jamison Williams, again, I think he could fall farther than 18, but the Saints did take him here. Linderbaum, interior offensive lineman from Iowa. I'm pretty sure he plays center. Went to the Eagles. And then Devontae Wyatt, tier defensive line, I really would love the Packers to pick up. Goes 20 to the Steelers. So, upsetting that he went here. But we still have Jordan Davis and Winfrey here on the board for defensive line. Chris Olave, Jahan Dotson at receivers. There's also Drake London, who I know a lot of people like. Garrett Wilson, more shifty, short wide receiver. All right, so we are 7 picks away. And again, I'm going to leave it at pick 28 because I think trading up in the first mock draft is just something I shouldn't do. Like I said, just kind of want to keep it as is, at least for the first few rounds. And I might just let this roll all the way to the Packers. Jordan Davis goes, damn, I did not want to see that. So right now I'm getting a trade offer. Like I said, the Broncos ironically are offering a trade. I'm going to go ahead and decline those and pause the draft. And if we see who else went, Nakobe Dean, linebacker from Georgia, to the Patriots. Kenyon Green to the Raiders. Karlaftis to the Cardinals. Jordan Davis, who, like I said, I wanted, to the Cowboys. Cameron Thomas to the Bills. Garrett Wilson to the Titans, and Raymond to the Bucs. So ironically, Kenny Pickett is still on the board. Can you imagine if the Packers were to take Kenny Pickett with this pick here? We have interior offensive lineman Zion Johnson here. We do have Drake London and Devin Lloyd. Now, Devin Lloyd's an interesting prospect here based on the fact that, what if the Packers weren't able to retain Devondre Campbell? We do have Perry and Winfrey here, Chris Olave, Jahan Dotson, like I said earlier, and DeMarvin Leal here as well. All right, so a few guys I have my eyes on, as I was saying. Chris Olave is one of them, and then also Perry and Winfrey here. A lot of people would like Drake London, and he does fit the Packers mold, being 6'5", 210. But one thing I do like Olave a lot is his ability to separate. I think that's a very key thing to watch for wide receivers. Someone like Cooper Kupp, who got drafted later because he didn't have the greatest speed, but he was always able to separate. And now look where he is, one of the top receivers in the NFL. And I think Chris Olave is one of the best route runners and separation receivers in the league, or in the draft. So with this pick, I am going to finally draft a wide receiver in the first round. And obviously, this is based on the premise that I think the Packers are no way in shape or form going to be able to keep Devontae and MVS. Now, Jahan Dotson is more of that deep threat, so they could go either way here. Say if they lose MVS, Jahan Dotson is kind of more of that deep threat guy. But Chris Olave is all around a great wide receiver. And to match him up opposite Davante Adams, if they do bring him back, and then obviously tendering Allen Lazard as well, I think it's a great pick here. So with this draft pick, like I said, I'm going Chris Olave out of Ohio State. All right, now to resume the draft, Drake London goes right after, and Devin Lloyd. But pretty much going to let this run for a few picks, and then obviously just go over some of them. So, yeah, Drake London went right after Zion Johnson. Kenny Pickett to the Lions, that's a good pick for them. And Jahan Dotson to the Lions. Bo Mafe to the Jags, that's a really good pick, considering they got their tackle, Evan Neal, with the first pick. Daxton Hill here, and Jaquan Brisker here at safety to the Giants. And if we keep letting this draft roll, I'm going to be really looking for a defender here, whether that be edge or interior defensive line. The Packers could also look at safety if they want to go that route. Daniel Falele went off. He's an absolute unit. Wish I could draft him 6'8", 380. This dude would be the future at right tackle. So kind of sad to see him go here at 47. We've Trick Woolen, corner out of Utah, go to the Ravens. Kyler Gordon, another corner. DeMarvin Leal went to the Broncos here at 40. Perry and Winfrey, another defensive lineman, 38 to the Jets. So the Patriots do want to trade with me, giving up a 7th to move 5 spots. But this is the first mock draft, so I'm going to go ahead and just not look at that exactly and let that go through. And our pick is about to come up. We could also be looking at tight end here. I think that is a need for the Packers. It's all the way down here on their team needs. So edge, offensive tackle, interior defensive line is the needs, at least on the draft network. But tight end is a need here, and Isaiah Likely, Trey McBride are both on the board. So I'm going to definitely look into those as well. But interior defensive line and edge as well, Josh Pascal here, and some other players here as well. All right, so I think I'm going to do it. I'm going to finally get the Packers a very needed tight end, a vertical, very, very athletic tight end in Trey McBride. Now, I really wanted to go either interior defensive line here or edge, and I was very tempted to take someone like Drake Jackson or Sanders here. But I think the Packers could do so much on offense with someone like Trey McBride attacking the middle of the field, the seam, going vertical, especially considering in this first round we got Chris Olave, adding someone else like Trey McBride, finally giving Aaron Rodgers these early draft pick weapons for probably one of his last years in the league, would maybe take the Packers offense over the top. I mean, they didn't really do well at all in San Francisco, and I think If they had, say, Trey McBride and Chris Olave, things would have been different. So who knows if they're going to bring back Robert Tonyan, but even then, Robert Tonyan, not a great year until he tore his ACL. I think Trey McBride, you couldn't go wrong here. Isaiah Likely is also a nice pick, but Trey McBride I do like a little bit more. So with this pick, I'm going to go ahead and select Trey McBride out of Colorado State. All right, so as the draft goes on and on and on, ideally here, there would be a chance to, say, trade up here for Sanders or Drake Jackson, get an edge player here. Nick Bonito as well is a nice edge player. He might fall to my next pick. So we'll see what happens there. You could also go, Leo Chanel here, a little Wisconsin bias poking through here, but Leo Chanel at linebacker there. But I think looking at interior defensive line or offensive tackle here is a strong consideration as well. All right, so now is our third selection at pick 92, and I have my eyes on two guys. Nick Bonito did fall here out of Oklahoma, a very, very solid edge rusher. Would fit right into the 3-4 scheme. But another player I have that I'm kind of torn on right now is Abraham Lucas out of Washington State. He would fit right into the future at right tackle for the Green Bay Packers, 6'7", 324 pounds, a big dude. And like I said, would be the future at right tackle for the Packers. And I believe there is great depth for both of these positions in this draft. I think there's a lot of talent at edge and offensive tackle in this draft. And we've drafted two offensive players so far in Olave and McBride. And like I say always, you can never have enough edge rushers. And I do believe the Packers are moving on from Zadarius Smith. I think they will reach an extension with Preston Smith to lower that 2022 cap hit. But losing Z, you still got to have rotational edge guys. Zadarius and Preston play about 65% of defensive snaps. Most edge players do. So that leaves 35% for John Garvin, Tipanali, and Nick Bonito, because with the 92nd pick, I will be drafting Nick Bonito out of Oklahoma. All right, so now it is our pick all the way up at 130. Some names that came off the board: Jake Ferguson out of Wisconsin to the Giants. Jalen Tolbert, receiver out of South Alabama, I really like, went to the Jets here. Jeremy Ruckert from Ohio State to the Jags. All right, so although I did want to go into your defensive lineman earlier in this draft, players just stood out where I needed to pick them. And so with this pick, I'm finally going to address interior defensive line in Waziriki here from Iowa State. He could fit in the 3-4 scheme or 4-3. He's a very versatile guy. Run defending, run stopping interior defensive lineman here, 6'5.5", 319 pounds. He's a little bit older at 23 years old, but I think he would be a great pickup for the Green Bay Packers. Like I said, they need depth at interior defensive linemen. So with this pick, I'm going to Uzuriki out of Ohio State at pick 130, and we also have a pick at 139 coming up as well. So I can go ahead and resume that. I'm probably going to be looking at one of these offensive tackles down here for this next pick. All right, so for pick 139, I am going to go down the route of offensive tackle, and the top two guys on the board here are Braxton Jones and Max Mitchell. I think Max Mitchell fits the Packers mold a little bit more. He's more versatile. He could play left tackle and right tackle. He's a little bit more of a pass blocker than a run blocker, but he's 6'6", 300 pounds. And I think, like I said, he just fits the Packers mold and be able to play multiple positions. The Packers need depth at tackle. Obviously, like I said, they do have Josh Nijman, exclusive rights free agent, will be back. Dennis Kelly is a unrestricted free agent and older, so I doubt they'll bring him back. Billy Turner's older and on the last year of his deal. And as I said, obviously, we all know David Bakhtiari only played, 3 drives last year and then basically never returned with that ACL injury, so who knows how he'll be. So I think drafting a tackle here, if not earlier, is a must. So with pick 139, I'm drafting Max Mitchell out of Louisiana. All right, so here at pick 170, I see Justin Ross on the board, so that makes me want to double dip in at wide receiver, and I think he would be a steal here in the 5th round. I mean, as a true freshman, over 1,000 yards and over 850 as a sophomore, and then obviously didn't play as a junior, and a underwhelming, as you see here, senior year with 514 yards, but the talent is there. 6'3", 205 pounds, outside receiver, can play big slot, and I think he fits well into the Packers scheme. He can, run RPOs, be a big shot receiver off of play action. And a couple years ago, like a lot of people thought, his freshman, sophomore year, okay, this guy's going to be a first-round wide receiver, 100%, right? So I think it's a good steal here, and with already drafting Chris Olave, getting someone like Justin Ross, who has 100% has the talent, would really set the Packers up for their wide receiver room for the future. So with pick 170, I'm going Justin Ross out of Clemson. And my reasoning for double dipping into wide receiver is, even if they do bring back Devonta Adams and Allen Lazard, I do believe Randall Cobb will be cut. Now, there is a chance he could take a pay cut, but that leaves them with Devonta Adams, Amari Rodgers, and Allen Lazard. So Devonta Adams, obviously, it depends what kind of deal he gets. The Packers could tag him. Will he play under the tag? We don't know. They could extend him for 4 years. But then Allen Lazard, he's a restricted free agent, so he'll probably get a second-round tender for about $4 million. And then Amari Rodgers, we've had a mixed bag of results with him. Haven't really seen him much on offense, but wasn't good in special teams. Another receiver out of Clemson, just like Justin Ross. But as the picks go down here for our 7th-round pick, I think double dipping, getting 2 receivers in this draft is something the Packers will end up doing. All right, so now that it is the 7th round, and the Packers could also do this in the 6th round, even the 5th, is target some special teams players. And Isaiah Polamau out of USC is one of which. He's a safety, and the Packers do, I think, need safety depth. 6'4", 205, has that straight line speed, big hit ability that projects him to be a good core special teams player, which is 100% what the Packers need to do. If they were to draft 2 core special teams players in the late ends of this draft, I would be so happy. So with this pick, I'm going to do that and draft Isaiah Polamau out of USC safety with pick 225. All right, so for the last pick at pick 246, I was thinking about going for another defensive lineman in Neil Farrell Jr., but he's more so just a one-trick pony and being a pass-rushing defensive lineman, kind of struggles in the run game, which I think the Packers need more defensive linemen that excel in the run game. With the last pick, I went with a special teamer, a safety special teamer, and I think with this pick, I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna go with Smoke Monday, 1, because the name is amazing, and 2, 6'3", 200 pounds, rotational safety, core special teamer. He has speed, and he's an aggressive tackler. He's physical. Like I said, from Auburn, the name Smoke Monday, cannot pass that up for our last pick here in this first ever mock draft. Finishing the draft off with 2 core special teamers, which, like I said, the Packers 100% need. So with pick 246, I'm going to draft Smoke Monday out of Auburn. And that will finish out the draft, so I'll just let these picks go through, and then we'll go over it. All right, so that does it for my first ever 2022 Green Bay Packers mock draft, 7-round mock draft. Like I said, I will be doing these for the next 10 weeks every single Thursday. And with our first pick, we finally drafted a first-round wide receiver for Aaron Rodgers. Is it too little, too late? I guess we'll find out, but that is in Chris Olave, wide receiver out of Ohio State. I think he's very versatile. He's one of the best separating wide receivers in this draft class, and I think people need to look at separation a little bit more, and that showed true with the emergence of Cooper Kupp rather than just, okay, what's his 40 time? And Chris Olave, 6'1", 188, fits that Packers mold. And then the second pick, in pick 59, I went offense again, just giving Aaron Rodgers more and more weapons, assuming that he does come back and the Packers make another run at a Super Bowl. Obviously, their offense did fall short against the 49ers, and Trey McBride would certainly help that. As I said, who knows if Robert Tonyan returns, but Trey McBride is a vertical tight end. He is a definition of a vertical tight end. You could even run him as a big slot as well, and I think he would add a lot to this Matt LaFleur offense. Then after going 2 straight offensive players, we go 2 straight defensive players. Nick Bonino out of Oklahoma, a great edge player, would fit right into the 3-4 scheme. I think the Packers are going to lose one of the Smiths, so getting a edge player early I think is a must. And then we have Uzurike here, our first interior defensive lineman. Would have liked to draft one earlier, but Uzurike here is a good, very versatile defensive lineman, 6'5.5", 319 pounds. And then we go to the other side of the trenches with pick 139 here in Max Mitchell. Again, a versatile offensive lineman. The Packers love their versatile offensive linemen. And getting a guy in the 4th round, Packers 4th/5th round offensive linemen always seem to excel. And I think Max Mitchell just screams Green Bay Packers. And then a steal here in 170, in my opinion. Justin Ross didn't have the production you'd like to see out of his senior year, but he, like I said, he has the skill. And double dipping here in wide receiver, setting the Packers up great for the future at wide receiver under Jordan Love, whoever it may be at quarterback. I think Justin Ross fits the Packers mold, 6'3", 205, can play big slot, excels in a spread offense, RPO-centric, vertical, horizontal shot plays off play action. A couple years ago, this was a first-round wide receiver, so getting him here at 170 I think is a steal. And then with the last 2 picks, I got 2 safeties, but majority, the reasoning for this is special teams. Isaiah Polamau and both Smoke Monday, with the awesome name here, are both could be and will be most likely core special team players on teams. And I think the Packers need to spend 2 picks on core special teams players in this draft. Bringing in Rich Bisaccia was the first step to fix the special teams. Now you got to surround him with talent, and that's exactly what these last 2 picks are. So that about does it for my first ever Green Bay Packers 2022 7-round mock draft. I want to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. Do you like these picks? Would you be happy with this draft for the Green Bay Packers? That is assuming that Aaron Rodgers and Devonta Adams do return. Just leave your thoughts down in the comments below. And of course, I'll have my second ever mock draft for the 2022 Green Bay Packers next Thursday. And as these mock drafts go on, obviously, I'll incorporate trades and other things like that. I just wanted to get one on paper with exactly the picks the Packers have. So that about does it for this video. I'll catch you on the next one. And as always, go Pack Go.